Hello everyone. I'm going to show you how to update your DWM V2 wattmeter using the DWM Control app on your computer. Now the DWM Control app is compatible with Linux, Windows, and macOS operating systems, so feel free to use the one of your choice. Now we're going to need a few things here in order to get this done. First one being is your DWM V2 wattmeter. The next is going to be your computer. And the third is going to be a USB cable. Now keep in mind that some of these cables, especially the cheaper ones, do not have data lines in them for the sake of cost. So please keep that in mind. Try to use high quality cables. And also what comes with high quality cables typically is good shielding. And that'll really help in high RF environments. And in extreme cases, you might even need to use something like a USB isolator or even ferrite beads right before your computer and even possibly up against near the meter as well. So there you go. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is how to get your DWM V2 wattmeter into firmware update mode. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go over to our main menu. We're going to go down to configure, press enter. Now we're going to go down to update, press enter again. And then now we have enter DFU mode. We're going to go down and click yes. So now we see that our meter here has gone dark. That means it's in DFU mode. So this one is ready to go. Now there's another way of doing this. I'm going to grab another meter here off to the side. This one does not have a battery pack on it. But one of the things you can do is first power off your meter. Then you're going to go with some needle nose pliers here. And this jumper, if you move it over to the leftward position, you're going to be able to forcefully put it into DFU mode. So if ever, for whatever reason, the firmware update fails, you somehow bricked the device by moving this jumper over to the leftward position, as such, just like that. And then when you restart your meter, the screen will be black. And that means it's in DFU mode. So now this one right here would be ready to go. And then once you're done, you power off the meter, take off that jumper, and move it back over to the normal operating position. And then you're good to go. So yeah. Now, some meters do not have the new battery pack style. This one does. And you're going to see here that we have a cable that comes from the board, goes all the way down into the pass-through. So you can charge the meter and you can communicate with it over the same port. Older battery pack versions of this do not have this feature, so you will have to plug in that case directly onto the board here on the back of your meter, and then route it through a little hole here if you'd like. So keep that in mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to move over to our computer, and I'm going to show you how to update the DWM V2. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to plug this right in. Now we're ready to go. I'll see you on the other side. All right, so we are on Windows right now, and I'm going to go ahead and type in www.coaxon.com into our browser and hit enter. Then we're going to go ahead, go over to DWM Control in the top right corner. Then we're going to go down to Downloads. For Windows, there's only one button, so we're going to go ahead and click that one. Now, on this one, for Windows, you can click Windows, jump to Windows installation here, and it's going to show you the individual steps on how to do that. So in this case, we're just waiting for the download to complete, and we're going to just go ahead and follow these steps. So here we are. So once we're here, we're going to click on these. Once it's downloaded, we're going to click on these three dots, and we're going to click on Keep. And we're going to click on that little drop down on the right side there of delete, and we're going to click Keep Anyway. All right, well, once it's downloaded, we're going to go over to the File Explorer. Then we're going to go to our Downloads folder. and we're going to open up our Windows Setup application here. I'm going to go ahead and hop out of the website here. Then I'm going to click on the bottom right if it doesn't show anything. We're going to move this out of the way. Here it is. So we're going to go ahead and install. In this case, I'm just going to only have it for me. Click Next. Click Install. Okay, so once it shows this message here, it's asking us if we want to install the Windows, the WinUSB driver for doing the firmware updates on the DWM. So I'm going to make sure that my DWM here is in firmware update mode, or DFU mode. Here it is. In my case, I'm just going to go ahead and confirm because I'm running this on a virtual machine. And then I'm going to click yes. So once your meter is connected to your computer, you can proceed. And you're going to see Zadig here is going to open right up. And we're going to do a little drop down if it loads. We might even need to go to Options and then List All Devices. And you're going to see here you have DFU in full speed mode, or FS mode. All right, this is the one that we're going to want. So now we're going to update this driver here to this version. Doesn't really matter the version. We just want to make sure that it's the correct driver. So we're going to, in my case, I'm going to click Reinstall Driver, and we're going to wait. Great, so the driver was installed successfully. So we're going to go ahead and click Close, click on the little X up here to get out of Zadig, and make sure this is checked, Run DWM Control, and click Finish. And we should see DWM Control booting up. Awesome. So now we're going to go ahead and go over to Firmware Upload section here, and we're going to see that there's no meters right here. It says no meters detected. This is normal because our meter, the only meter that we have connected, is one that's in DFU mode. So we need to go over to the Firmware Upload tab, then click Refresh, and we're going to see here our DFU device appearing. So if you do not see your DFU device appearing, again, that's going to be most likely because of your cable. Now we're going to go to Download Latest Firmware. Click that. And we can see where it is downloaded automatically, where it's pulled it from GitHub and to our computer. So we're going to scroll down, and then we're going to click Upload Firmware. And now we're just going to wait for this to finish. Now, do not disconnect the meter or interrupt this process throughout it, because you will most likely brick the meter and you will need to manually move the jumper to DFU mode, like I showed previously, to force the meter into DFU mode. Then you can restart this firmware uploading process. So beware of that. Do not disconnect the meter during this process. All right, so once the firmware download or upload is completed, you're going to see a few messages here at the bottom. Don't worry about any of these, like invalid DFU suffix or error during download get status. This is just some informational stuff. The thing that really matters here is this one on the very bottom, firmware upload successful. If you see that, you are good to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and restart our DWM watt meter. So I'm going to power it off and power it back on again. And confirm. All right, we're going to go over to our Control tab, and then here it is, right in DWM Control. So here we are. You can always go ahead and click Check Updates. By doing so, it'll automatically see if there's an update that's available. It'll read the firmware that's currently on the meter, and it'll check. If there's an update that's available, a little button will appear asking if you want to put the meter into DFU mode and automatically jump to the firmware upload page or tab. You can absolutely click that. Another way you can get into DFU mode on the meter using DWM Control is through the settings icon, and then you click More Info, and then you click Enter DFU Mode. So you're going to see once I click it, enter DFU mode, I'm going to click OK. and you see here that it has disappeared from this window. And if I click refresh, see it's still here. It's here now. So you can always put the meter into DFU mode through that method. I'm just going to power it off and power it back on again. And here it reappears under our control tab. So there we are. Now on the top right here, you'll see update available. This is for the app itself. So it's saying that you can see here that an update is available for DWM Control. I regularly post updates to the app, so don't get this confused with the actual meters firmware update that you can set up. So there we are. All right, here we are on macOS. I've gone ahead and opened up the Safari browser, and now we're going to type in www.coaxon.com. We're going to go to our DWM Control tab on our top right corner. And now we're going to scroll down to our download section. And here we have two choices for macOS. The first one is going to be x86 Intel, and the next one is going to be the Apple Silicon ARM. Apple Silicon ARM is going to be for your M1, M2, M3, M4 chips. So that's all newer Mac machines. And the Intel ones, in my case, I have an Intel machine. You're going to want to go ahead and use this. So click Intel, wait for this to download. Now it's downloaded. We're going to go ahead and open it up. And we're going to drag and drop it into our applications folder. And I already have it there, but I'm going to go ahead and replace it. So now I'm going to open up the applications folder. And we're going to scroll down over to DWM Control. And we're going to open it by double clicking. And we're going to confirm by clicking open. Great. So now here's our DWM Control app. So you're going to see here we have an update that's available. I won't click this just yet. This is used to update the app itself if there's an update available. And right now we have the DWM, as we saw before, plugged in and in DFU mode. So I'm going to go over to the Firmware Upload tab. And now under Device Selection, we're going to go ahead and click Refresh. And we're going to see our DFU device pop up here. If you don't see this show up, this is most likely because of your cable or some kind of a connection issue between the meter and your computer. So beware of that. Now, if we go ahead and click on Download Latest Firmware, and here we go. It automatically pulled the latest firmware from GitHub, which is where I regularly post firmware updates. And now we're going to click for Upload Firmware. Now, do not interrupt this process by disconnecting or powering off your meter in any way. If you do that, you'll probably end up bricking the device, and you will need to use the manual jumper method to put the meter into DFU mode again in order to do this update. Don't worry, it's impossible to permanently kill your meter by bricking it. The manual DFU mode will always be able to get you into DFU mode and update and upload the firmware that you want. So don't worry about that. So we're going to go ahead and wait for this to finish. Once complete, you're going to see a couple little messages down here. Don't worry about a couple errors over here. The error during download get status, that's just, it's not able to get the status of the meter. And then the most important one here is firmware upload successful. This is the one, if you see this, that means your meter has been updated and you are good to go. So now the next thing you're going to want to do is power off your meter and then power it back on again using the button in the front. Once you do that, you can go over to the Control tab and you're going to see your meter is right here. So you're good to go. If ever you want to check for updates or anything like that, you can by clicking this button. Here it says that it's up to date. If it's not up to date, a little button will appear and it'll automatically, by clicking on that button, it'll automatically put it into DFU mode and bring you over to the Firmware Upload tab. So it'll make your life a little bit easier. Great, and then one more way here, if you do want to put the meter into DFU mode manually, but from DWM Control, you click on the little meter settings button here, you go over to more info, and then you click on enter DFU mode. So when you click it, you confirm, and then now we get out of it, and now we go over to firmware upload. You see here that it disappeared, and we click refresh, and you're going to see it's right here. So in my case, I'm just going to power cycle the meter again, and we're going to see it pop right up here. And here we are. All right, so here we are on a Linux machine. In this case, it's a Raspberry Pi running Raspbian OS, and we have the DWM V2 wattmeter in DFU mode hooked up to the Raspberry Pi. Now, by the way, Raspberry Pis are super useful in this case because let's say if you have a site that you want to monitor remotely, that you have internet access to and everything, but you want to monitor the power levels, well, you can hook up a bunch of DWMs to your Raspberry Pi and you can remote desktop into it and you can run DWM Control and view everything remotely and control the meters, in fact. So that's a great help here. So what we're going to do is first go to www.coaxon.com, hit enter. Now we're going to go to DWM Control. It is a little laggy here because I'm remote desktoped into it. And we're going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit to our download section. All right. So in this case with the Raspberry Pi, we're going to want to go ahead and download the Linux ARM 64-bit version. So we're going to go and wait for this to download. There we go. So I'm going to now go to the terminal application. And we're going to install this. So now we know that it's in our downloads folder. So we can go over to, we could CD over to downloads, ls, and there it is. So now we're going to do a little bit of sudo apt install. I'm going to go here, / DWM Control. And I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And we're going to put in the password for our user. Great. So now that we have this set up, I'm going to go ahead and type in DWM-control, and the app should start. All right, so now that we are here, for Linux, we don't need to worry about drivers or anything like that, unlike Windows, thankfully. You see that it says no meters detected. This is because the only meter that we have that's connected to the Raspberry Pi is a meter that's in DFU mode. So we're not going to see it under the Control tab. We need to go to Firmware Upload tab. All right, once we're here, we're going to go over to Refresh. And now we see our DFU device there. It is enumerated on the side. So now on the left side. So now we're going to go to download latest firmware. We click that. Now it's pulled this from the GitHub that I regularly release firmware updates to. So this will pull it automatically. And then now we're going to scroll down to upload firmware and click on that. And we're going to scroll down. So this is our status here, and now it's erasing the meter here, and it will be re-uploading the firmware. Now, do not interrupt this process. If you do interrupt this process, it will brick the device. So, and then in that case, you'll have to manually move the jumper and force it over to DFU mode. So yeah, but don't worry, you'll never be able to brick the device permanently. You can always fix it by, again, moving that jumper over to DFU mode and then restarting the meter. And you can then do this process over again, but just don't disconnect this cable or power off the meter. Great, so once it's done, you're gonna see there's a few messages at the bottom here. Don't worry about the majority of them. You're gonna see the most important one here is the firmware upload successful message. That's the most important one. Don't worry about error during download get status or any of that. Don't worry about it. Then all you're gonna have to do is power off and power back on your meter and go over to the Control tab, and you will see your meter appear there. So now here is your meter. Now you can always go ahead and click on the Check Updates button. That's quite nice. What that'll do is it'll automatically see if there are updates available for your meter. So it'll check the version that's on your meter now, and it'll compare it to the latest one that it sees online. So we can see here that the firmware is up to date. And if ever we do want to put the meter into DFU mode, we click on the little settings icon, and then we go over to more info. And then you'll see here, enter DFU mode. So by clicking this, it'll put the meter into DFU mode. It'll ask us a little message first saying, are we sure we want to do that? And it'll automatically switch the meter to firmware, to the firmware update tab as well. Click out of it. So you see here now our meter has disappeared from our control menu. And we go to firmware upload. And then we can see here, or by clicking refresh, we can see here that our DFU device is still enumerated here on the left side. So there we go. But in this case, I'm just going to power it off, power it back on again. And here we are, right on the control tab. So now you're good to go. Now don't get the update available button confused with the actual firmware update buttons for the meter. This update available button here is for the app itself. So when you click on it, it'll update the app and it'll restart it. So yeah, great. Well, thank you for watching.